What a treat to have you here tonight. We still want to dance. What a great movie. So Maria Novaro was selected to be one of the interviewees by Lourdes Portillo, who should be here, not me, interviewing you, and the great cinematographer and now director for a number of years, Rodrigo Garcia. So it's terrific to have you both tonight. Maria came from Mexico to be with us tonight, and Rodrigo Garcia is one of our local boys by now, right? So, can you tell us first off how you met?
How did we meet?
He was assistant photographer and I was assistant director in a film called Amor a la Vuelta de la Esquina.
That's right, that's right.
And we became friends, and we said that whoever was not assistant but the chief for the next time, we would work together.
And we made Maria's first movie, Lola, right before this. This was the second movie.
Very good. So you are both coming from film school, which is an interesting outcome because you were basically working outside of the traditional structures of the Mexican film industry. Was it easy to put this production together?
It's never easy to make any film at all. It's always difficult, but at that time it was difficult to do it against the usual way of making films. Not with the union, we didn't work with the union, and being a woman director, but other than that, it was a very pleasant shoot, and we were very happy during the shooting. We were friends, and we enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Mexican film industry had been huge in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and out of it had come, you know, a very strong system of unions, which ironically we all supported because we supported organized labor, but these were unions that wouldn't let any new people in. So it was very difficult, and I think Danzón belonged to a group of films that, you know, that the cultural, you know, the cultural institutions in Mexico were supporting for people to make films who were not in these unions and new directors, and we were part of that new group, no? That included, you know, Maria and Cuarón and Guillermo del Toro and Luis Estrada, a whole bunch of people who made their first movies at that time.
What's interesting when you see this, your second film, is that it was so different from Lola, your film of '89. 2 or 3 years later, you come up with a sort of change of strategy from something that had been done much more outside of the industry, a very personal film about a mother searching for something and taking care of a little girl. So how do you switch gears with this film a little bit?
The thing about Lola was that I love that film. I think we did a good work together also. But it was perceived as a feminist film. And for example, all the film critics wrote very horrible things about that film. I felt completely understood by the female audience, but very rejected by other people, by the men. And the strategy changed because, as I told my sister, I was writing with her at the time, those two films we wrote together. And I told her, let's make another woman's film, but they will not know. They will not know until it's too late. And it worked. We did exactly that, I think.
And how did you get the idea for the second film?
For this
Such a personal film. The LA Times review said it was the view of someone who was very independent and had a great vision. You had glowing reviews for this film in the US.
Thank you. I've always loved dancing. I went dancing a lot. And when, precisely when we were talking about making a very, Lola was also a sad, a tough film to watch. It was about difficult things, and it had to do also with ¿cómo se dice?
The
Terremoto?
earthquake.
The earthquake of 85. All the scars that were left in the city in Mexico City, and we really wanted to make a very happy, a very joyous film the next time, Danzón. And I told my sister, let's go dancing every week, twice or 3 times a week, and see what comes out of that. And going to the dance hall during a lot of time, I completely fell in love with the Danzón. I thought, I do not want to make a film about a woman who dances, but I want to make a film about Danzón, exactly Danzón. Because it is a wonderful music, it is a wonderful dance. It embodies, for me, a perfect way of talking about sensuality in the Mexican way, about sexuality in the Mexican way, about courtship, men and women. And the danzoneros have a saying, they told me at the very beginning, they told me that in dance, as well as in life, the man commands and the woman obeys. And I loved it. I thought I'd make a film about that, in which in dance, yes, it's wonderful, but not in life.
But the interesting thing is you subvert all that, because she is completely, by the end of the film, it's phenomenal how you begin and end the same way, but there's a world in between,
Yes.
and she has changed, right? So explain to us anagnorisis, because that was a beautiful wink of the eye to European culture and the Greek language. That's a running joke in the film.
Well, anagnorisis is, my sister studied theater, and she always was talking about that moment in which the characters finally realize something, and for the moment in which Julia realizes that that young man is not for her. That was the anagnorisis moment, and we put that on the ice cream little car, because we were joking all the time. We were having fun all the time. Rodrigo hadn't seen it for a while, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you shoot a movie and then when it's been edited, you see many cuts, and then you do the color, you do the sound. You know, you get so saturated. But now, you know, it had been 25 years since I saw the movie, so it was, you know, I found it super enjoyable. I mean, I can say as an audience member, not as someone who worked on it, I was saying to Maria that I thought, you know, she did an extraordinary job. Even 10 minutes into, 5 minutes into the movie, I said to her, the world is so specific and so genuine. You know, when you're putting something together, you don't, you know, sometimes you don't really see what's in front of you, but for me, it was a terrific journey. And she managed to, you know, to bring together into one. I mean, Maria Rojo, who plays Julia, was a major star at the time, as was the hotel lady,
Carmen Salinas.
Carmen Salinas. I mean, we're talking two big Mexican stars to get, you know, who are acting with first-time actors, non-actors, people who are dancing, people who lived in that hotel. Someone Maria would see on the street, and she'd say, "You come here, you play the homeless guy." And it all came together incredibly seamlessly. I mean, it's like a super romantic documentary almost. That's what it looked like to me today.
So what's interesting is that the way you follow, it became so obvious this time seeing it here with the audience, the care, the love you have for the danzoneros. How did you bring Rodrigo to film those interludes of people dancing so true to life, the real thing?
During the time I was preparing the film and writing the film and I was going dancing every week, I made friends with all these danzoneros, with all these people who dance. So I really knew them personally. I knew them by name. When I invited them to appear in the film, I would tell them, please use these lovely golden shoes that I love so much, or wear this red dress that is my favorite of your dresses. So I really knew them. They were not extras. They were my friends, my Danzoneros friends. They were always trying to convince me to. The Danzoneros have different groups, sectas.
Yeah, like the tango dancers have these clubs, so they're cliquish. They have their cliques.
And the people who dance at the which is my favorite, the danzón cerrado, the very slow and tight type of danzón, are always fighting with the ones that dance a more open and colorful danzón. So they would be all the time telling me that I should make the film right and dance only with them, whoever they were. So I really knew them. They were my friends. We joked. I loved the way they think. And for me, they all embodied something that was very precious to me. And I think it is in the film, to have a big love and respect for my culture and for my heritage and our sentimental education as Mexicans. And I wanted to portray a Mexico that was going away. And I wanted to keep it alive in my film. So I was looking for that all the time, trying to tell everybody, this is my country, this is what I love, and this is who we are. And that kept me going in choosing every person, every moment, every detail, as Rodrigo said.
So it's interesting because if you compare it with the sensibility of Cuarón and González Iñárritu when they portray, the popular world, the world of the working class, which you do so affectionately, they come from a different angle. And the films are not that separate from yours. It's 10 years apart, and they are a world of difference. That's what's so stunning when you see the films now back to back, the different approach. I was curious to see how you had filmed those danzoneros, and it does look like a documentary in a number of ways. They were not shy with the camera. They were not afraid. They were not looking at you.
No, because I think...
How was it?
Because I think, first of all, they all knew Maria because she, like she said, she got to know them. But, they are performers. They have the life that she has, meaning, the rest of the week, they have real life, and then you go here to escape real life. It's romance. It's uber romance without the complication of romance. It's a little bit of what she's doing. So when we got there, I don't particularly remember like the shots being very hard to set up because the dancing is so formal and everyone's so comfortable that it was almost, for me it was easy because Maria and Beatriz had been there so often. I recognized so many of these faces that I hadn't seen, but like I knew, it's like, oh, that guy and that couple. And you could go to Salon Colonia week after week like we did, and there would always be a center group of 20, 30 couples that were the couples, and they wore their own wardrobe, like Maria said. So we were really shooting them. No one was playing anyone. Something I did remember, the guy who dances with her, the guy she's looking for, is Carmelo, is a real dancer that you found there, right? Did you find him there or elsewhere?
No. We started shooting the film, you don't remember that, but you will remember when I tell it. We started shooting the film in Veracruz, not in Mexico City, and we hadn't found Carmelo. Because I had made a casting with all the actors in Mexico, and I was so crazy about Danzón at the time that none of them really danced Danzón the way they should. So, and Maria Rojo was totally in agreement with me. So we were saying, no, none of this can be Carmelo. No.
She became a real master danzonera. I mean, she was.
And we went to Veracruz. We started shooting the film, and whenever we had a chance at night or whatever, we went dancing, Maria Rojo and me. And we went to a dance of the workers of the docks. And we were there, and he came in, Carmelo, his name was Daniel Regis. He came in with that white suit, with his hat, with his shoes, and I just le di un codazo a Maria. Elbowed Maria. That's Carmelo Benitez. And she said, yes, I think so. Go and ask him to dance. Yes, I will go. And I took out my video camera because all the time I had a yellow submarine yellow video camera that I took to the dance hall during months, and people were used that I was there with my yellow camera. And then I took the yellow camera out because Carmelo was there. Maria asked him to dance. They started dancing. I was shooting with my yellow camera. And he was like, who are these two crazy women? What are they trying to do with me? After the first dance, I said, of course, that he is the one. And I told him we were shooting a film and he should go to the office, the production office. And he laughed and laughed. He thought we were trying to ligarlo, to pick him up. And he didn't believe anything until he went to the office, and then he saw it was for real. I trained him a little bit. He was not good with dialogue, so I took away all the dialogues that there were on the. He will just dance. He will not speak.
Because that final shot is difficult. That long take, and they have to look into each other and have.
That's the thing that brought me to this. Is he was very good with the dancing. He was very, he has a vanity that he has, and he has a pride, and he was a very good dancer, and he was very, pleased to be dancing with Maria, who was a very famous, art, theater and movie star. But in the last scene when they danced and they looked, I remember how much he struggled to hold her gaze, because she really, as an actress, would connect with this guy with all that it meant to her. And as tough as he was, he said it was really tough to look into her eyes because it was so deep and such intensity.
And he had fallen in love with her.
Yes, well, that's a problem.
One interesting thing of seeing it in the big screen is the contrast of the color palette between Mexico City, sort of drab, and the glorious colors of the Caribbean. How much did you work it? Did you paint things, for example?
I remember when one of our scoutings, we discovered that blue that was everywhere, that we just called it Azul Veracruz blue, because it was, it was just a hue that was available in a lot of places. And we might have painted a few walls, but we mostly shot. I mean, most of the places are the way they are, honestly, right?
Yes, yeah. Because I wrote the script for the real places. The idea of Greece came because I love that soda place called the Acropolis. That is blue and has the posters. And many things were written for the real places. The Rex Hotel was real, just the way it is.
And prostitutes live there with their kids?
Yes, with prostitutes with their kids. So it was a very documentary way of working and finding the. Then we decided that the Maria's most important dress should be red because Veracruz was blue, so she should be dressed in red. And the one thing we painted was the names of some of the ships. That would have been so easy now in digital times. But at the time it was a very, very big problem because they would not allow us to change the name of any ship, shoot, and then repaint it again.
A ship's name is the license plate. So a ship would be called, Athenian Morning, and we wanted to call it You Broke My Heart. So that was the whole thing.
And the Tlacateo, one of the persons in charge of production, had the brilliant idea to go to the place where they take out the ships from the sea and they paint them. And he said, there we can change the names, and we should
So the
In the
ships that
angle
have
that-
the names are ships that are out of the water being serviced, because we could not paint the actual ships.
But then we did the right framing so that by editing, some ships are on the sea and the others are not, but you don't realize that.
When she's walking around asking sailors for, were those just real guys, or were those our guys, or our extras, or just people who
Everybody
were there?
was a real guy.
But I know, but did
Even
we,
the Russian.
Did
I
we,
went to the Russian embassy to ask for a Russian.
I remember because when she walks into the bar, which now has closed, right? Wasn't that
Yes,
that was that famous cafeteria?
yes.
I saw the Russian, and yes, indeed, it's a Russian from the embassy.
They had presented me some blonde actors in Mexico and said, oh, he looks Russian. I said, no, he doesn't look Russian.
No,
So I went to the embassy and the attaché of the cultural affairs or whatever said, yes, you can have one Russian, choose. So I went into the Russian embassy and I chose.
La parroquia, right? Wasn't that La Parroquia or no?
The cafeteria,
The
yes, but
cafeteria,
the
yeah.
Russian, the
No, he
actor,
was a real guy, yeah.
he was a real man from the embassy.
So when you put your film in perspective of Mexican films, you can see your wink of the eyes to some Mexican classics, but you don't go into the melodrama full speed, but you pull back a little bit because you are doing something that is more romantic and maybe more nostalgic. So I was interested in you and your sister working with the conventions of melodrama. How did that work out?
Yes, we really wanted to make an homage to our heritage and to the Mexican cinema that we had seen as children. But of course, we wanted to subvert it, to change it. The women were completely other women from those films, and would say totally different things and would act completely different, and romance would be lived in a very different way. But we would still play the rules of the Mexican melodrama to change it, to se dice subvert? Subvert it.
But you don't have what we will have next week here with Amor Loco, the Ripstein Garcia Diego film. We will not have that. They really are brutal with Profundo Carmesí. And you have a different approach, which is interesting to see.
Yeah, well, it's in my nature.
I think of course there's a big tradition of melodrama in Mexico, some of which some of it was terrible and some of it was wonderful, but also around the 70s, late 60s and 70s and 80s, just before this movie were made, melodrama was sort of put aside and movies became much grittier and much tougher, but the female characters were just, they were always being murdered or prostitutes or it's just not, there was like no in between. The melodrama disappeared, but then things started being about prostitutes getting murdered, and it was just terrible. This was one of the first films that sort of found, a woman who's a dreamer, who lives in a and I'm telling you this, I didn't even know this when we shot it. This is the movie I saw today. This is the melodrama of, it's a woman who lives in this dream state. It's so lovely to just go and dance and not have to, life isn't messy when she's dancing. I think that's just wonderful. I wouldn't even call it a feminist movie. It's just a movie and about a woman, But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think the secret is to wait 25 years to see the movie that you worked on.
Not always.
Not all. I'm going to do it from now on. Yeah.
And then it's interesting to see in Sin Dejar Huella, your film of a few years later, that you again have now two women on journeys. But those journeys are physical and geographical, and you go through Mexico, and you pay homage to the real people of Mexico too. So is that like the narrative that you have, that your interest, women on the move?
I don't know, maybe yes. I think it's not very complicated. I make a journey to make the film, to write the story, to figure out what I want to talk about. And then the film comes out as a journey also, because that's the journey I took to understand what I was really wanting to talk about. I think it has happened to me every time I write a film. I simply try to be very, very sincere in what I am trying to tell, in what I am finding. I have always, from the beginning, used documentary tools and fictional tools. I think many, now that I have a career of 30 years, I think that there's not, for me, that there's not a mystery about what I do. It's very clear what my interests are and what my herramientas, my tools.
Obsessions.
My obsessions also, yes.
Well, I think it's time to wrap up. And anything else that you might want to see, you have given us a delightful evening.
I'm very happy to hear that. I just wanted to tell you, we were able to make the restoration of the film only very recently. We were working very hard. It was such a lovely thing for me to have this invitation and to know that I was invited to come here and show the film, that it gave me a lot of strength to fight for the restoration of the film, which was not all the time easy. And we've been working a few months on doing the restoration. I think many wonderful things were done. It was, I don't know if you saw it differently, but I think it shines again.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
also.
and I think also the sound was splendid. And, you know, for me, you know, it's been a long time since I've done anything in film. You know, it's digital has, you know, so it's. I never was one who thought you have to pick between one or the other, but this has that beautiful look and its own particular look. And, you know, I think when things work, you can't imagine them in any other way. And then Maria's performance, I thought, I mean, I knew it was good,
yes.
but I'd forgotten. You know, she really,
good.
it's.
Yes, she couldn't come, but she wanted to come, but
it's
she
very,
couldn't come.
very daring.
Yes. So I wanted to thank this invitation to show Danzón today here to you, because it helped us to make the restoration possible.
And remember that there is this very long, beautiful interview with her done by Lourdes Portillo in the Academy website. It's worth watching every minute of it. You will laugh and cry and everything. It's a wonderful insight into your work.
Thank you.
So yeah, the Academy was pleased to have you both here tonight.